Hey, lovelies. Hello, lovelies. Mel here. Yeah, I'm just jumping on. I wanted to have a chat tonight. It's a beautiful Saturday night here in Cape Tribulation. It's sunny, it's winter, and you can walk around in bathers. Who would have ever believed it could be so beautiful anywhere in the world in winter? But it really is here. Anyway, I hope you're all well wherever you are in the world, and that you're having, that you're doing okay, because I know a lot of people here in our community are not always doing okay, hence why I do the work I do. And speaking of that, I wanted to come on and I wanted to have a talk about my Beyond Broken webinar that's coming up really soon. It's in a little bit over 4 days now. It's the 19th of June and it's going to be, what time is 5 p.m. PDT, USA time, which is 10 a.m. Queensland, Australia time, East Coast for me. Not an easy time for you Europeans, but there is a recording. But I wanted to talk a little bit about it because people have been writing in and they've been asking questions. One of the major questions was, is there going to be a recording? And yes, absolutely there is. You're not going to miss it, even if you can't get there live. But also, too, a lot of people are saying, well, kind of what's different about this? And, where are you going with this one, Mel? We've been to a lot of your webinars and a lot of your events. And I have to say, I'm super excited about this one because what I'm passionate about is that this webinar is going to get straight to the point of the reason why it's been so difficult to recover from toxic relationships. And I think what's really happened in the last few years for a lot of people is we've had an awakening and we're really looking at the power that we have within ourselves rather than the narratives that we've been told. And this applies hugely to recovery from narcissistic abuse because what we have been told and what we've been trying to do is to think our way out of the trauma and do research and maybe try and talk it out and hope that that's somehow going to dispel it, or we're going to get an answer that will give us closure or clarity and allow us to move on. Now, I believed that myself years ago, and I wasn't lazy like I know a lot of you are. I tried a lot to go to a lot of therapy, to do a lot of research, to try to find out everything I could about narcissistic abuse, the narcissist, and also what had happened to me, trying to find that golden egg, that thing that would get me over the hill and into recovery. And I was really shocked because I'd always been the type of person who could get up and get on with it. I'd really prided myself of that all of my life, that not much could keep me down and nothing would defeat me. I was always positive and hardworking and very conscientious. And I know so many of you are too, because that's really a type that falls into narcissistic abuse. And obviously narcissists, want people like that. And it can be a real shock to you as well that I just don't seem to be recovering. And no matter what I'm trying, I'm just really not getting there. And I know how awful that can feel. And what is the reason for that? Well, that's something I'm going to go into in a lot of detail in Beyond Broken. But let me just say to you that the things that you think that are going to help you are the things that actually help you the least. And rather than being able to address what's really happened to you, it literally keeps you separated from it. And that's the crazy thing about this, because it's really counterintuitive until you realize how you can heal for real. The major issue about all of this is that narcissistic abuse is just not a practical, logical thing. It's insane. Nobody could even begin to imagine what it's like unless you've been through it. But it is literally like something out of Harry Potter, the Dementors, the Soul Snatchers, because you feel so sick in your soul. And it doesn't make sense. The trauma bonding and the feeling like black ink walking through your veins, the fact you can't get stuff through your head, and you literally feel like you are powerless, you're helpless, and you're suffering some kind of horrific psychic violation. It literally is like that. And I know I went through that horrifically. And I know after the last 20 years of working with thousands upon thousands of people in this community, maybe millions over the years, that this is such a common report. And when you speak to somebody who's been through a toxic relationship, they relate. It is like that. So what's that about? Well, what's that about is we've got a real soul spirit sickness. This is happening at a very, very deep level of our very essence that's been infiltrated and violated and literally harvested. Contemporary ways of looking at this through the five senses and the logical and the practical don't take that into consideration and try to work at the level of you're a practical physical body having a human experience rather than you're a spirit soul having a physical experience. So it misses the mark. It doesn't get to the core of what's happened here and what's really going on. Now, back in the day, even though I was spiritual and very open to my essence and doing personal development and all sorts of things, I was into meditation and yoga and fasting at times when I wasn't being unhealthy, but I was very interested in those things. But yet I hadn't really understood the truth about trauma, how it impacts us, and what it actually creates until narcissistic abuse. And I'd had trauma in my life, as a lot of us have. And I just thought, well, that's normal. And you get up and you get on with it and you do all the right things to get on with it. But it wasn't until narcissistic abuse where I was flat on my behind and life could not go on as normal anymore. I was defeated. I was absolutely destroyed, like so many of you are. And that's what shocked me, that all of my go-tos weren't working. And no matter what I tried, it was like this terrible soul sickness just would not go. I just could not purge it. And fortunately, absolutely, it happened for me that I ended up having a complete breakdown. And in the breakdown, I had an epiphany and absolutely a spiritual awakening moment that was so profound that it put me on the path to look for the truth, to take it to that deep level, to be able to address my soul. And that's what led to the Thriver movement and an understanding of how to flip the script of life from the outside in, having an absolutely traumatized, diseased soul, trying to get some information or support or solace or answer or retribution or closure or justice to try to fix the soul disease, and it just didn't work. It didn't work. And the flip of the script became from the inside out, addressing the soul dis-ease directly, and then changing that from within, and then everything without interfacing with my inner universe, in my outer universe, everything shifted to reflect that, including my mind. I stopped obsessing. The trauma bond was gone. The addiction was gone. The haunting was gone. And all of my symptoms healed. And that started the Thriver movement and the revolution of how to heal for real. Now, that's exactly what I'm going to be talking to you about in Beyond Broken. And the thing about this is, when you start living life from the inside out, it's so easy. And I'm not saying that to be glib. I'm just saying that because it's truth. And when you have the process to do it, which this community does, when you start getting that shift and those changes start happening very rapidly and very directly, you wonder how on earth you were trying to heal and recover the other way. You also deeply understand why it, not that it just wasn't working, that it actually can't work by the very nature of quantum law, which you'll learn all about. A very, very simple law, as absolute as gravity. That way could never work. It was absolutely about putting a Band-Aid on a wound that just kept falling off because the wound never healed. The other thing you start to realize is that we all have an incredible source force within ourselves that we have the power to activate, that can heals us. It can heal us physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, every area of our life that's in dis-ease. And we've been disconnected from that. We haven't been taught how to go to that, how to bring it back to life, how to get it online. And interestingly, getting it online is the most organic thing that we're meant to do and that we actually can do. Because in no shape or form were you meant to have such a shocking experience that you've had and have it take you out. That's not what your soul intended. That's not what your higher self intended. It's certainly not what you ever intended. And some part of you knows it's not meant to be like this. My life was never destined for this. And I promise you, this is not some cruel joke. This is not some mistake. It's actually a springboard to your greatest thriving life when you know how to turn around from there, turn around to here, and so lovingly and gently and beautifully self-partner and hit that ignition switch. It absolutely changes everything. And you start to heal in ways and in time frames that will blow your mind. And that's exactly what thriving is. So one of the greatest reasons that I came on is because I want to give you hope. And I know what it's like to be back there, and you are trying so hard to heal. You really are. And you think you're defective and there's something wrong with you and you're the only one going through this, and so on and so on. But I promise you, there are hordes, so many people stuck in your position. And it's not because they're not putting in effort or they're stupid or they're defective or they're cursed and they're not meant to heal. It's because what you've been trying to do to heal by the very nature of it was always going to keep you stuck in your traumatized victimhood, unable to get out of your wounds, and was never going to release you from them. And when you join me in Beyond Broken, you're going to understand exactly why that is the case. Okay, so I've put up the link to Beyond Broken in the description. And I really want to say to you from my heart to yours, even if you think that you're recovering and you're on your way and you've done an amazing job, even to be alive, you've done an amazing job. Like, kudos to you for how far you've got. But if you feel like you've recovered, but you yet still feel exhausted, and oh my God, I've had to go through so much and I'm still, really, I'm not thriving. Okay, I'm out and I'm not pining and I'm not addicted anymore, but I really feel like I've been through the wars. I promise you, there's a higher level than that. Because when you heal this way, that I'm going to explain to you, what happens is when you emerge out the other side of this, you are going to feel more energized, more confident, you'll have more vitality, more energy, a bigger trajectory to life and possibility than what you even had even before you were abused, or even if abuse is all you've ever known since a small child. And you're going to understand deeply exactly why that is. I'm going to explain that in the webinar as well. And also too, we can have so many limiting beliefs around this. And I know I did. I was 40. I'd had a complete psychotic adrenal breakdown. I had absolutely no capacity to function. I'd lost the properties I'd brought into the relationship. I'd lost my money. I was in piles of debt. My family had turned away from me. Everybody had run for the hills. I'd been smeared in my whole community. My business was about to collapse and I had no capacity to carry it on. Everything was gone. Now, yes, I was only 40, but I was told by the medical profession that I would never recover and I would need 3 antipsychotics for the rest of my life, probably, to even function, but I would never be functioning again as normal. That was my prognosis. Now, and I also too, apart from the complete adrenal and psychotic breakdown, I had complicated post-traumatic stress disorder, horrifically, of course. So bad. I had fibromyalgia. I was 57 kilos, which is about, not 57, 37 kilos, which is around 80 pounds. I was a walking skeleton. My hair had fallen out. I hadn't been able to eat or sleep for about 6 months. It was game over until this epiphany, and I flipped the script from trying to recover from the outside in to igniting myself from the inside out, working through the understanding that I am spirit in a human body, taking it to a quantum level, energy clearing in my energy field and deep within my somatic emotional limbic self, which is your spiritual self, doing the work there and making it all about me and not about him. And everything turned around in the most amazing ways. So I guess that message really is the reason why I'm telling you that, is because I have seen people in this community in their 80s turn their lives around. I've seen people come out of institutions that have been hospitalized. I've seen people try to take themselves out in failed attempts who are now thriving in love, have their own businesses, are the healthiest and the happiest they've ever been. So I just want to say, and I believe this with every cell of my being, that if you are still breathing God's source creation, your soul, your higher self hasn't finished with you yet. You're meant to thrive. It's your coded essence truth, and something inside you knows that. That's why this seems so unbelievable to you that you can't get out of this, but you can. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in Beyond Broken. So I really want to urge you as well, share this with anybody you know who is battling a toxic situation in their life, who's given up on life. And, really say to them, this is a no cost event. There is no problem in just coming to listen and having an open heart and an open mind and seeing what resonates. Because this could be the absolute key in your life or their life that takes it from broken to thriving. So I just wanted to jump on and say that. If you've got any other questions, just leave them in the chat, and I'll get to them later. And the link is up above. Very easy to get yourself a seat and really put it in your diary or your calendar, or make your time when you're going to be able to watch the recording, because this is kind of like sliding doors, and our life is a series of choices. And we can all look back in our life, maybe, the time when you met the narcissist, where there's a choice and we take it and it changes our life forever. This may just be one of those choices. All right, everybody. So I hope you're having a lovely day or night wherever you are in the world. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll be talking to you again soon. Lots of love. Bye-bye.